I am in the same predicament as Andrea. I have, I've done a lot of ads and I believe spent a lot of money, but I'm not really seeing the return. So I don't know what I'm doing wrong. I've gone through the whole funnel and I've seen clicks, I've seen, added to carts, I've seen traffic. I'm seeing those type of things, but I'm not seeing actual purchases.
Okay.
And I'm in clothing, African clothing. So I'm not really sure exactly what I'm doing wrong.
Okay.
So at this point, I feel like maybe, everybody have their strength, and this is not my strength. And I should just pay somebody to do it, but I'm not at a point where I have the money to pay somebody to do it.
Okay.
So, yeah.
So I'm actually really glad that we got to you here, because we're going to now make this transition into the questions, because you were the first to fill out your form. So I have your question here, and it's pretty much what you said. You're like, how do I get these ads to convert? Which I'm going to be honest is a very vague, question and statement. That's why y'all are all here to begin with. But one, obviously it takes time, it takes testing, but remember to follow the funnel. That's always my first rule of thumb. Are you following the funnel? Are you running your ads with the strategy of either view content or video views first? So building that brand awareness. And I'm gonna we're gonna get real for a second. So the team, I will tell them you're following your process, right? Or the manager will tell them. But here's the thing, sometimes it's not just about checking off a box. You can say, yes, I'm following the funnel, or yes, but let's be real. Life is not like that. You have to open up the box and say, okay, what's actually in here? What's the message? What's the targeting look like? I may be following the strategy, but maybe my audiences are just not the one for me, because sometimes, or a lot of times what happens is our top of funnel is performing, and then maybe you'll see your middle and bottom is doing nothing. And so raise your hands, or you can, I see some head nods, whatever, but let me know if that is what's happening to you, because you are well ahead. Yeah. Okay. So you are well ahead of where you were before SSL, but now you're like, okay, I got this set up. They're coming in the door, but then they're not buying. And what is wrong? And so, Kira, I'm going to ask if you can mute anybody who's not on. If you can mute, that would be awesome.
Yeah, I actually did I think an add to cart ad where I think it was a time where I was actually on one of the Zooms, and you helped me set it up and everything. And I got a lot. I was getting 400 website visit a day, and that was the most I've gotten. And I tried to go on the next step and retarget and see what would come in, but then it kind of went down, and it just once I switched from add to cart, or I think it was add to cart. Once I switched from add to cart to purchase, it kind of went down.
Okay. And I'm taking some notes periodically throughout this call too, because that is a common thing, right? Okay, finally got it set up, got the new SSL strategy, boom, hold up. There's a bottleneck. This is what we call a bottleneck, where you're getting a lot of top of funnel conversions, but then they're not converting into sales. So there's a few things. One, like I'm saying, I can't say this enough, check your targeting. I like to say, if you have a brick and mortar, pretend like you have a brick and mortar, or an office if you sell services, right? And so you went out and you hired someone, used to call it street teams, right? You hire people to go out and find people to come to your place. And so they come in, but then they're coming and they're just standing around. They're not even buying anything, or they're looking and they're leaving. And so what's the first thing you're going to think is these ain't the right people. Get me some new people, because this isn't it. So that's the same thing. You want to look at your targeting, because no matter how many messages, how many, follow-ups you're doing with them with those retargeting ads, they're not converting. It could be they can't afford it, or it's just not their style. They may have just been really interested in the beginning. It could be looksy-loos, whatever, but you have to shake it up, because Facebook is going after people that like to view content, that like to view videos. It doesn't mean that they're payers. So look at your targeting, but then also, guys, we all have to take accountability, not that you're not, but you have to look at your site, because if Facebook is just doing its job and it's bringing that traffic to your website, that landing page, that product page, something could be off that's either deterring them from buying, slowing down the process, or sometimes it's it's literally like the checkout button is not visible on your mobile device, but you didn't know because you never even thought to look at that before you know. So we have to think of both things, and then of course check the ad. So the good thing is that there is like limitless opportunity for you to test and see what elements may be causing this, but I would definitely take a look at all of them before just pulling the plug.
Yeah, I think it's mainly finding the right audience. And, you know, in my head, I'm thinking that, you know, I am targeting the right audience, but for some reason I'm not, and it's not getting to the right people that I needed to get in front of. So yeah, that's the most difficult part.
Yeah. And how much are your products?
I have, my lowest item is, I think 42, and my highest item, which is a wool printed African coat, is 185. And I usually have like a discount code, you know, in my ads, you know, based on what I'm doing. I usually have like a discount code. So.
Okay. So, yeah, good question, Jade. You literally have to test. She said, so how do you know where the problem is? There's no, as much as some people like to think, I'm not the oracle. I'm going to give y'all all the things that has worked for me and thousands of people, but it's always testing. The only way that you know data is the truest thing here. So like the only way that you know is by testing. And I like to test one thing at a time. So like switch up your audience, let that run for a few days. If that's still not doing anything different, then you can leave the audience and then you can switch up your ad. But all the time you want to check your site, because if you're getting a whole lot of traffic, because think about it, if you're getting the people to come into the store or the landing or whatever, but they're not converting, that would be the first thing I would check actually. Mm-hmm. And that has happened to us. That don't think we're perfect. In the beginning, that would happen. There's things that we're like, oh my God, this looks beautiful on desktop. We all did our thing. But when nobody realized it on the mobile, and it could be like on certain devices too. Like the Apple iPhone could be whatever, but then on the Android, it looks totally different. Who knows? But that's why it's so important to test everything. Now, that's like, okay, you get somebody to your store, they're on the website, they're not converting. That's the first thing. But what about if you're getting a bunch of video views and then no one's really coming to the page? Because I hear that sometimes too. That tells me it's the ad. That's like they're watching the video, they're seeing the graphic, or they're maybe even engaging, but the ad copy or the ad is not enticing enough for them to even click or want to come in the store. So think about that problem, like as if you're getting a lot of people to come, your street team brought people in, but they didn't really open the door. They just kind of, they came to the front and they saw the message in the window, and not many actually came in. They just kind of like kept walking. So think of it like that. Then you're like, hold up, is my door locked? Like, what's going on? Is the link working? Because sometimes that's what happens too. You're like, I clicked and it led me to a 404 page. Oh my God. Or it's literally just like, I guess the window is just not interesting enough. Let's switch some things up, or the sign or the headline, you know, whatever. So I know these metaphors can be corny, but I hope they're helpful, because when you have like a real life example, it sometimes it helps.